Welcome to Problem Solve, the podcast where me and a special co-host solve all your problems really easily, probably.
Problems? Are you kidding me? I don't have any problems. Okay, I might have a few, but I can work on them with you. Come
on. This is a podcast where we explore the intricate world of relationships and navigate the complexity of mental health together. I am Jeff Gunther, a licensed therapist, but in this space, I'm your host, not your personal therapist or the therapist for our guests. This show offers a platform for open conversations about relationship and mental health challenges, providing insights and perspectives for educational and entertainment purposes only. It's crucial to remember that our discussions do not replace professional therapy or constitute a therapist-client relationship between myself, our callers, or you, our listeners. If you're dealing with personal struggles or seeking support, I urge you to consult with a qualified professional who can provide the personalized care you deserve. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Welcome to Problem Solved. I am Jeff Gunther, licensed professional counselor. It is a solo episode with a theme. The theme is a theme you are going to relate to. The theme is, you're not going to do the thing you should do, are you? And this comes from my 20 years of being a therapist. It also comes from just listening to a bunch of relationship and mental health podcasts where the callers call in and the experts are like, these are the things that you should do in order to handle it in a healthy way, knowing that that's not actually what they're going to do. This actually comes from a handful of my friends have called into the Savage Love cast with my favorite relationship expert, Dan Savage. And they've asked him to solve their problem. He has given them a very good answer. And when they receive that answer, they're just like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to do that. Even though they should. Even though if they listen to him, their life would probably continue in a way that they would benefit. They'd be able to move past a problem, see things clearly, make hard decisions. But no, they're going to give in to their unhealthy, sort of toxic, I'm not going to listen to anyone type of urges. And they're going to do the bad thing, the thing that doesn't really serve them. And here's the thing. If you're going to do the thing that doesn't really serve you, that you know you probably shouldn't be fucking doing, then let's have a real conversation about how to do that in the best way possible and the healthiest way possible, in a way where like maybe you'll actually get good results. If you're going to be like, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyways, then like let me in on that journey with you. So I have 3 callers. They're asking me an honest question about what they should do. I'm going to give 2 versions of an answer. I'm going to give you the version where I'm just like, hey, I'm the mental health expert that's just like, this is probably what you should do because this is what's really going on. It's going to be hard to do, but it's the healthiest choice. And then I'm going to answer it in a way of like, but you're not going to fucking do that. You're not going to listen to me. So if you're not going to listen to me, can I influence you at all and offer you a little bit of guidance if you're just going to like totally fuck yourself? So I think that you'll be able to relate to this episode. I surely will be able to relate to this episode because even though I know what the right, best, most healthiest thing to do, oftentimes I don't fucking do it. I'll give you some examples of how I made not the best decisions in the past. Okay, let's start with the first question. Here we go.
Hey Jeff, huge fan. Thank you so much for taking my question. I'm just going to cut to the chase. I'm struggling because I was really broken up with by this guy that I had been dating for over 4 months. And although it was just 4 months, he was the first guy I've dated in years. He was really great. I was really great. We were really great together. I can't emphasize that more. That being said, we went into the relationship knowing that he had come out of a long-term relationship just over a year ago and that he was going through a healing journey and he had sort of an avoidant attachment type, which we later found out is fearful avoidant. He'd been going to therapy even before I met him. He'd been putting into work. We were doing really well until a couple of weeks ago, he started getting depressed. I wasn't really able to be there for him because I was traveling, then he was traveling. I had also been dealing with some of my own stuff. I really thought what he needed was just some time, so I didn't really try to pry. And he was still showing up in our relationship in all ways at 100%. So it came as a surprise when he broke up with me. He said that he was just really depressed and lost, and it didn't feel fair to either of us if he kept going feeling this way, and that he needed to work through this journey alone. And he also said that he was really aware he will likely come to regret this decision because he really likes me. I am, of course, having a hard time accepting this ending, but I know the value of healing alone and I'm trying my best to give him space. Unfortunately for me, I am a hopeless romantic. I have a lot of hope that maybe he'll get to a point where past this episode, he would feel okay enough to go through these things with another person by his side, me. I know this is selfish of me too, but I also do really want to reach out to him at some point. Of course, I know I'm still going to give him time and space first. I just don't know how long I should wait before I reach out to him, even if it's just for a closure conversation. And the romantic side of me has also written a letter that I really want to have a mutual friend to pass to him, which basically details all the things that I see in him that I wish he could see in himself, and that I will be waiting for a little bit because I'm not really in a rush to settle down or go anywhere. I've spent a good chunk of my life single. But I am also scared that my feelings will burn in him even more so, and I don't really know what to do. I know the logical thing is to just accept it and move on, and I'm trying to, but I also really just want to put in one last effort. Is that ridiculous?
Oh, you framed this so perfectly for this episode. You know, logically, that you should move on and let go. But there's this part of you that's just like, no, I can't. What should I do? So let's talk to the logical part of you. And I'm going to be like real straight shooter, mental health expert vibes, or it's just like, this is what you should do. And then we'll get to like, you're not going to fucking listen to me, are you? Okay. So I'm just going to put this out there for everybody and for you, the caller. Do we believe that things that like relationships end for a reason? Because I do. And a lot of times when a relationship ends, you can look at it and be like, but we didn't get to play it all out. Or there's like these issues, in this case, these mental health issues that came up. And so I didn't really get to experience this relationship. And things got cut short. But I think relationships end for a reason. I mean, that feels obvious, but like what I'm saying is that I think that when relationships come to an end, they're supposed to come to an end. I'm not saying that maybe you should never get back to together with that person, but for whatever reason, this chapter that they're in their life, this chapter that you're in your life, the relationship isn't going to work. So let's not try to force it. Sounds like there were some pretty clear reasons why this relationship didn't work out. He is struggling with his mental health issues, and he's being pretty clear about asking for space. I think that we should all respect that. He does not have the capacity to be in a relationship with you. He's doing you a favor by getting this space. Do you really want to be with someone who deals with emotions like this? And I'm not even saying this in like a judgy sort of way, but this is really good information. When he gets upset, when he gets stressed, when he gets depressed, when he's dealing with mental health issues, what he does is he pulls away. Some people go deeper into their relationships and with their partner or with their community or a therapist or whatever it may be, and they really lean on somebody. He doesn't. And that is a totally valid, okay way to react to feelings and emotions. Again, absolutely no judgment. But it seems like you want to be with somebody that when they go through something, they lean on you. He's not doing that. Do you want to be in a relationship like that? And I hear that you were really, really great together. That comes through. But it also sounds like you weren't that great. There was lots of good in the relationship, I understand, and there was like good connection, good times, good vibes, whatever. But when things got a little rocky or when things became a little difficult, you both floated away from each other. That's not great. Right? Maybe that's also what needs to be focused on. And again, this is a very classic situation where a relationship ends, you're sad, and you're only focusing on the good things. I get it. That's a very natural thing for our brains to do, even though very annoying. I wish science would do something about this and make it fucking stop. So instead, you deliberately have to focus on like, oh, shit kind of hit the fan. Things became a little tricky, and we just sort of floated away from each other. That's not a great sign. Your hopeless romantic side is so cute. It's so adorable. We love to see it, but it is keeping you focused on him and not allowing yourself to move on. You might be romanticizing the hopeless romantic side of you, if that makes sense. I think that it should be a part of you because it's very sweet and adorable and attractive, but it might be like too big of a side of you right now that has too much control or power over your decision making. And it's also there's this like sort of unfinished business slash we didn't get a chance to see how the relationship would go. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it feels like you think that this relationship was cut short too early. And because of that, there's like all these fantasies about what life was going to be like and what a relationship was going to turn into and what vacations you were going to go to or the family that maybe you would have together, whatever, like wherever your fantasies went, even if they weren't those really long-term fantasies, they might have just been like short-term fantasies. We're going to go to this concert together. We're going to go to this wedding together. We're going to meet each other's friends together, whatever it is. It didn't get to play out. And you're just like, but what if it did? What if it was amazing? But the thing is that like you didn't get to do those things because the relationship didn't work. You floated away from each other. You weren't there for each other. It just didn't work out. I feel like I might be wrong, but I feel like you got enough information here to make the decision that this is not a good match for you. And he has sent you lots of messages that he doesn't want to speak right now, doesn't want to be connected. It's giving you an opportunity to let go. You're still in the bargaining stage of the grief period, right? We're just like, what can I do? Maybe I can write a letter. Maybe I can get him back, right? But I want you to move through the bargaining stage. You can do that without sending this letter. You can just feel your feelings. Allow the sadness to come in, express it, talk to your friends, family, therapist, whatever. You will get through the bargaining stage. You'll get through the grief. You'll feel better. Okay. However, I don't think you're going to do that. Okay. So here's the second version of this, of the answer for you. Before we get into what I think you're going to do anyways, which is send this letter, and I'm going to give you advice on that, I'm going to let you know that I have experienced the same exact thing where I date somebody and then it feels like the relationship ends in a way that isn't organic. It ends in a way that's really abrupt, in a way that I don't have control over. And I'm just like, no, we need to get back together again to really see how this relationship plays out. The thing is, I've gotten back together with those exes and it never plays out in the way that I want it to. It ends in like the same sort of way. And then at the end, again, I'm left feeling like, maybe we should give it another shot. And I have to sort of like rack it up to there's some partners out there where I'm always going to feel like I want to give it another shot because the relationship is doing a lot for me. It's loving me in a very specific way that I need. Yet there's so many other things that aren't working about it. And I just want to, if those things that didn't work were gone, then everything would be great, which is true. But the thing is that it doesn't work for a reason, right? So I've been you. I've gotten back together. It doesn't work out. I'm still left feeling like maybe we should give it another shot. And then I have to eventually just let it go. However, like I said, I think you're going to send this letter. I think that you've worked hard on this letter. It sounds like a very sweet letter. I understand where you're coming from. You see all the wonderful, lovely, amazing, beautiful, attractive things about him. If he just saw himself that way and knew that someone else saw him that way, you feel like that would be incredibly healing. And in fact, that can be very healing. If you see all the like beautiful things, if you see all the good things, all the optimistic things about the relationship, that can influence somebody in a positive way. However, they have to be open to being influenced in that way. And they have to acknowledge that there are some really wonderful, lovely things about themselves. I'm afraid that he's not in the right mind frame to embrace all these wonderful, lovely, attractive things about him. And that if you send him this letter, he's going to be like, oh my God. Like subconsciously or consciously, he's going to be like, this person is putting me up on a pedestal and they don't even see all of the dark flaws and imperfections and red flags about me. I'm going to disappoint them. There's absolutely no way I want to be with them. That's my fear in how he's going to receive this letter. So I have a recommendation. Go ahead, list some of the like really cute, lovely, beautiful qualities about him. Be a little gushy. That's okay. But also list his flaws some of his flaws, imperfections, the behaviors or things that he was doing, his avoidance that was coming through in the relationship, so that he knows that you see him as a whole person, so that he knows that you can see like all the parts of who he is, so that you can aim for having what we in the therapist business call an integrated love. I see your positive parts, I see your negative parts, I see all the things in between. Fun things about you, the annoying things about you, the things about you that are getting in the way of connecting with you. And even though I see all these flaws and imperfections, I still see you as a real person that has a lot of good parts, and I think that we can do this. So he'll feel like you're coming from a more like realistic, measured place if you can list those flaws and unhealthy or imperfect things. So you can be like, oh, she'll accept these unhealthy or imperfect things, and this relationship might be a healing relationship. You might even want to list some of the things that you did to contribute to the demise of this relationship. You pulled away, you didn't go to him, you can be avoidant sometimes, whatever. So that is what I think you should include in the letter, and then go ahead and send it. My last piece of advice is, can you have very low or no expectations of him responding to the letter? Is that on the table? Because I don't think that it's going to be a great response. So sometimes that is the thing that we need. We need to kind of like bare our soul. It needs to not be received in the way that we want, and then we can be like, okay, fuck this. You can get angry or you can get depressed, and you can move on. You can move on, right? So he likely will not respond to this, but like me in past relationships, sometimes I've already made a decision that we need to get back together and give it another shot, and then I can let it go. Maybe you have to do the same. Good luck.
Hi, Jeff. I am almost 30 years old. I will be 30 next month, and my boyfriend is 20, and he will be 21 in December. We have a very intense relationship. We do fight quite often, but when the good times are really good, they're really good. And obviously, when the bad times are bad, they're really bad. This is his first relationship, and I am trying my best to be as secure as possible. However, him being young does trigger me a lot, and he also is not necessarily where I'd like him to be as a man in his life because he's so young. However, I do enjoy his company. I just do wish he was a little more motivated, and I refuse to take on a mother or caretaking role. Yeah, so I'm just at this point not sure what to do. I have caught him with another girl before in the past, but I just chalked it up to him being young and dumb. I don't feel like at this moment he is cheating on me, but I just do have my feelings about being able to trust. I do hesitate being able to fully trust. So I don't know. I don't know what to do, but maybe you know. Please advise. Thank you.
You know what to do. We all know what you should do. Don't act like you don't know what to do. Okay, I'm going to give you the straightforward, direct, honest response to this. And then we're going to get into like, but you're not going to fucking listen to me. So you should not be in this relationship. It is not meeting your needs. Clearly not meeting your needs. You should leave him. Your expectations are way too high. You keep setting him up to disappoint you. Like you keep on thinking that maybe he's going to be a guy who acts like his brain is fully developed at 25 years old, but he's 20 years old. Less than a year ago, he was a teenager. Less than a year ago, he was a child. Like, this is who you're dealing with. And I'm not saying that to gross you out. I don't care about a 10-year age difference in a relationship. However, when somebody's brain isn't fully developed and they're actually acting in a developmentally appropriate way, him being like unmotivated, him being lazy, him not knowing how to like behave in a healthy adult relationship makes a lot of sense because he's 20 fucking years old. He needs to go through relationships and fuck up so that he can grow and evolve and learn, start to take accountability, work through shit so that he can be the kind of guy that you want him to be. But I don't think that he's going to turn into that guy while in relationship with you. What he needs is life experience. So he needs to go and get that. And I don't think that you're going to be able to give that to him. He's cheated on you. Okay, I'm not even like a once a cheater, always a cheater kind of guy, but have you actually repaired that together? Did you process that together? Did he understand the emotional impact it had on you? Does he understand how hurtful that was? Did he take responsibility for what he did? Does he know why he cheated on you? Does he have a plan about how he's not going to do that again? Like, have any of those conversations taken place? I feel like no, probably not. It hasn't. So, it's okay that you find yourself attracted to him. I'm sure there's like lots of good, playful, lovely things about this relationship. Maybe it's really steamy. Maybe it's really hot. Maybe it's really sweet. Maybe it's really cute. I love that for you. You can get those things in older people. Like people can be really playful, fun, sweet, spontaneous, whatever, right? You don't have to date a 20-year-old to get those experiences. And kind of like what you're mentioning, the like parent child dynamic that's playing out here makes a lot of sense because you are a whole decade older and you've had your entire 20s. There's so much growth that happens in our 20s. There's so much fucking up that happens in our 20s that we hopefully learn from and evolve from so that we can become the person that we are. You've gone through an entire lifetime. The 20s are so important, and you're wanting him to just speed past that and just catch up with you. Because of that, you're going to come off as the parent. He's going to come off as the child. As you know, that is a very unsexy dynamic. You will resent him. He will resent you. You'll look at him as just like this annoying little turd. He'll look at you as this overbearing parent that has too many high expectations, which you do for him. So this is a really difficult dynamic to get out of. I'm going to go into this a little bit more about how maybe you can get out of it, but I rarely see anybody get out of this parent-child dynamic once it forms. Everybody can't stand it. Nobody's having fun. So that's my straightforward answer. Don't fucking do it. All right, but you're not going to listen to me. So this is a tough one. I'm going to try to how can I make a relationship with a 30 and a 20-year-old work out? Ugh. Okay, I'm going to do my best here. Can you just have fun? Can you just keep it playful? Can you just allow the relationship to unfold and develop over time without asking him to show up in a different way? Can you just let him be the person he wants to be, the 20-year-old he wants to be, without putting so many expectations on him? Because I feel like the more you do that, the more he's going to deceive you or let you down or feel like he can't show up as his authentic self. So if you like him and you want him to just be himself, then stop asking him to make so many changes. Just accept him for who he is. If you don't want to be with that person, you don't have to. But maybe you can. Maybe you can just accept that you're going to be on a very long healing and growing journey together, and that he's not going to be the man that you want anytime soon. But over years, he might develop into that kind of person, but you got to keep it playful. You got to just focus on the positive things that initially brought you two together. Can you focus on the youthful energy or the playfulness or the spirit that he brings to the relationship? I bet it's pretty infectious. I bet it's pretty sweet. I bet it's pretty lovely. Also, can you make this into a casual or open relationship? With the cheating, I have a feeling that maybe the infidelity stuff might go on a little longer. Again, he's 20. He probably wants lots of different sexy experiences. Can you open up this relationship, have it be monogamish, poly? Can you be swingers? I don't fucking know. Can you give him the experiences that he wants to have? And can you also continue to get sexy experiences outside the relationship or inside together with him? What can we do to just maybe not make this a monogamous exclusive relationship? Are you open to something like that? If you're not, okay. But I want to just throw that out there. Okay. When the parent-child dynamic comes up, I need one of you, but preferably both of you, to label it. Be like, oh, this is happening. I'm turning into parent, you're turning into the child. We both do not like it when this happens, and we need to disrupt it. So often when couples or people in relationships come into my office, they talk about these reoccurring fights that happen over and over and over again. The thing, like my main goal for those fights is to get you two or you all to come up with a plan for the next time it comes up, and so that you do something differently. So I need you to come up with a plan for when the parent-child dynamic pops up and you can respond differently. You can be like, hey, I don't like this, or hey, I'm going to go for a walk, or hey, can we relate to each other in a different way? Or add levity or add vulnerability. Do whatever you can to acknowledge the parent-child dynamic and change it into just a peer-to-peer dynamic where you're both respecting each other, right? The thing is that like I also want you to, there's a chance that you found yourself in this relationship or magnetized to this relationship because it has the parent-child dynamic in a way where like you feel like you have more control or you have more power or you have more knowledge. And there's sort of like a safety in that, right? I have found myself in these sorts of dynamics as well, where it feels like I am the one that's more, whatever, emotionally developed or has even more relationship experience, and somebody is just like a little bit behind me. And because of that, I get to act like the therapist in the relationship. I get to act like the one that knows all the shit. I get to be the one who like regulates his nervous system and can like handle it in a really easy way. Well, they are really explosive or emotional or they don't know what to do with themselves, right? Or I get to be the one that like caretakes them and swoops in to save them. I'm the one that can like help them manage their life, right? This makes me feel like I am of value. This makes me feel like I have control in the relationship. This makes me feel like maybe they have to count on me. Like they're not going to be able to leave because they do actually see me as their savior or as like their parent that they never had, right? I mean, I'm not thinking this consciously. That would be gross. But subconsciously, this is kind of what's happening for me in these relationships. And that also may be happening for you in the relationships. Oftentimes when this happens for me, I really don't actually want to be in an intimate peer-to-peer relationship. I actually don't want to be in a relationship where I'm challenged in a way where I have to do the growing. I want to keep on being like, you're the one that has to grow. And here's all the wonderful ways that you should do that. And here's all the wonderful ways that I will support you in doing that. Like the power, the control, the sense of like security that I have in those relationships because I have all of the influence. Is that what's going on here? Is that why you didn't pick somebody that is your peer? What are you trying to avoid? Is what I'm asking. And yes, am I projecting all of my shit onto you? 100%. Definitely. But every now and then, when I see that dynamic happening in a relationship, I can change that within the relationship by being honest with myself, being honest with my partner, and then understanding the role that we both play in that dynamic so that we can stop doing it. And maybe you can talk to your guy and let him know what's going on here. You can also do your own therapy possibly. And you can make sure that you stop doing the parent-child dynamic so you can act like peers and see if this relationship really has a chance. Again, I don't think you have a chance, but I think that if you ever did have a chance, you would do those things. You would keep it playful. You would try to have fun, maybe make it a casual, open relationship, and then focus on that parent-child relationship so that that dynamic, so that it doesn't like, hijack the entire connection. Good luck.
Hi, Therapy Jeff. I'm going through a recent breakup and I'm working on accepting that it's over. It was a very fast whirlwind of a relationship. I had known this guy from our CrossFit gym for a couple of years. He's a coach at the gym. Both of us were in relationships until he moved out of his boyfriend's house in June. My relationship ended almost a year ago. He said he's been over the relationship long before moving out. I wanted to take things slow, but we both got swept up in the moment and became partners quickly. He considers himself sexually fluid, but I was the first woman he's been in a relationship with. We enjoyed cooking together. We shared similar values. We just overall adored each other. He was the most emotionally mature and kind person I'd ever dated. Because he knows what it's like to be with men, I feel like that gave him empathy and compassion toward me when it came to sex. Straight men that I've been with only view sex as P and V, but this man knew how to be more creative and most importantly made me feel safe, which allowed for incredible orgasms that I hadn't experienced since being a teenager. We'd been dating for about 6 weeks, but with how quickly and intensely things progressed, it felt like a lot longer. We just said we loved each other. I took him out to celebrate his 3-year sober anniversary. I was not only the first woman he'd been with seriously, but also the first quote-unquote normie he'd been with since becoming sober. His AA group is all gay men, including his sponsor. A few days after what had felt like a honeymoon weekend, he said he wasn't ready for a serious relationship and wasn't sure if he could see himself with a woman long term. This was totally shocking to me. It felt like it came out of nowhere, as he'd been messaging me daily, like, hey, baby, want to meet up? Let's have dinner, all of that. But he said he was struggling with his sexual identity and feared how his AA group, essentially his chosen family, would respond to him being in a straight presenting relationship. I can empathize with his need to explore his sexual identity and also to have time to live on his own, since he had literally just moved into his own place for the first time since becoming sober. What's hard is the whiplash, to go from being swept off my feet to him now needing to be more distant as friends. It feels very jarring. We still see each other at the gym, as he's a coach, and it's a gym I've been going to since 2015, and it's just a constant in my life. I love being a part of the community. Anyway, so I'm just about 37, and I'd love to eventually find a caring partner like him. I fall in love easily like you, Jeff. Any advice? Thank you.
Okay, you're not coming out straight out of the gate being like, should I get back together with this person? But I kind of feel like you want to, so I'm going to take it from that angle. Okay, so this is just sort of my honest opinion, then we'll get to, I don't think you're going to listen to me. So my honest opinion is like, do not get back together with this person. This is not going to work. You were love bombed and you love bombed him. You both mutually bombed each other with so much love, which is very sweet and very cute. You got really wrapped up into this like honeymoon period that started really quickly. You might have been his rebound, I think. That doesn't make you less of a person or like he doesn't really know who you are, but like I think there could have been some rebound energy going on here. And he seems really confused about who he wants to be with, which is okay. That's fine. We all are confused sometimes. He doesn't know if he should be with you or if he wants to be with a woman, or maybe he just has like shame that he needs to work through. That's the thing too, is that like he probably needs to do some work on not feeling ashamed that he's with a woman, or that he also needs to do some grieving of his last relationship. Do you want to go on that journey with him? I say this a lot every episode. But it's an important question to ask yourself and everyone else listening. Do you want to go on a journey with this person? He's going to have to like really go on a healing journey. You don't have to be that person to go on that journey with him. But if you do, there needs to be a lot of patience and understanding that there's going to be a bunch of ups and downs and that it's going to be a little bit chaotic, which I don't think that you should stand for. I think that he should probably figure that out on his own or with somebody else and not drag you into it. You also don't really know what the relationship is like. You've only been love bombing each other for 6 weeks. That's a lot of projection and putting each other up on the pedestal. So, it's common that we think we really know each other in the first 6 weeks, but it's not real. It's just like make-believe fantasies. You're not really seeing each other for real, right? So this is another one of those relationships where it feels like, oh no, it ended too abruptly. What's going to happen if he was just like really ready? Then maybe it would work. But maybe he's just like either not ready right now and won't be ready for a long time, or this is just how he is in relationships. For some reason, it feels like there's a lot of urgency for you, or in this relationship. I like, there's like so much. Like the urgency of like, we want to spend so much time together. What's going to happen together? Like, I can't wait to see, like, there's just something that feels like you're not letting it unfold naturally. I mean, obviously, and I'd love it if you could have let it unfold naturally, but I'm not sure you two can create that dynamic together. And like you said, if you fall in love really easily, like moi, then like moi, you need to protect your heart and be a lot more thoughtful with the people that you fall in love with. So go ahead and allow yourself to fall in love quickly, but don't do it right at the start. Does that make sense? Like, I know that since I fall in love really fast, I have to take it really slow at the start. That might mean like only seeing you once a week. That might mean dating other people at the same time. That might mean asking a lot of questions up front to sort of like get a sense of what you're like. And then if it feels safe, then I'll allow myself to open up and then I'll start to like fall quickly for you. This could have just been a fun fling and you got in touch with what kind of dynamic or emotional connection that you're looking for. I want you to take this information, all the lovely things that you got from this connection, even though it was short lived, and move forward and make sure that you can find those things in other relationships in the future. I feel like you got attached because you got the thing that you were craving, maybe the thing that you've been craving for a long time. You were loved in a very specific way, in a way that like maybe you've never experienced, where he was really creative and bad, or maybe he saw you as a whole person, or maybe it wasn't just about sex and it was about all different parts of you. And because you got loved in this way that you always wanted to get loved, you got really quickly attached. And faster than maybe you ever have before, because there's been like this void that he was able to feel. I have felt this. I have felt this in past relationships where I think all through my teenage years and 20s, I was never loved in a way that felt really stable and secure and consistent from somebody that I can like, that can be an anchor for me. I was always the anchor, stable thing for other people. And I didn't really get to experience somebody being that stability, that foundation for me. And then I met Kate, who was my wife, who became my wife, and we were together for almost my entire 30s. And she was so stable and so secure, so predictable, in the most lovely ways, and the ways that I've been looking for my entire life, coming from a family of instability, of like a mom that had addiction and codependency issues, a dad that has a really low emotional quotient, that was always distracted by his new wife, right? By a sister who was very dramatic and took up all the emotional space in the room. And if she was there for me, she wasn't there for me in a, altruistic way. It was more of like a selfish, so there's all like me just craving my whole life in my childhood and then into my 20s being like, can't someone just be stable for me? And then I met Kate. And she was stable for me, stable in love with me. And it was so good. And it was so healing for the almost 10 years that we were together. And then when we ended the marriage, I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to find anybody else like this ever again. And the truth is I was wrong. I did. I found other people. Like it then became a lot easier for me to be like, oh, this is what a stable first person feels like. And I believe that there's lots of stable, secure people out there, and I'll just date them. Right? And now maybe the same thing has happened for you. You were loved in a very specific way. You had sex in a very specific way. You were seen in a very specific way that you were never seen before, which now gives you the ability to identify that in other future partners, and gives you faith that like this guy is not the only guy that can show up for you in that way. Does that make sense? I think it does. So I love that you go to CrossFit. I think that you and he are, mature enough to be able to get through this weird experience while still going to the gym all the time. That is your community. I do not want you to leave it. Whether you acknowledged it or not, you too that knew that this was a risk, and you're going to like fucking figure it out. And it's going to get easier and more normal every single time you go. Okay, but maybe you're just going to be like, fuck it. I want to be with this person. I don't care about these red flags. This feels like too big of an opportunity to pass up. Like the connection, the potential, the man that this is, the creative way that he fucks me. Like, I gotta give this a chance. And if that's true, if you just gotta do it, then fine. Let's think about how you can move forward and try to make this relationship work, even though the odds are stacked against you, in my opinion. Can you first just be really straightforward about what you want? Can you go grab a drink with him, have a coffee, have a conversation about like, okay, here was the good things. Here are the things that we need to work on. What can we do here? And then can you be patient? Can you be patient while he goes on that journey of working through his shame, trying to figure out what he wants, being more okay with being like in a straight presenting relationship? Be patient. Go on the journey with him. Tolerate his indecisiveness. I get that you're like, there's not a lot of like open and emotionally intelligent men out there. They don't come along all that often. I don't want to agree with that, but like if that's what if that's what you're saying and that's what you're experiencing, then I'm going to believe you. And maybe you should just like really give this person a chance and understand that you have a strong friendship foundation. It sounds like you've known each other for a long time, since you've been going to the same CrossFit gym for a really long time. And that I want you to kind of lean into that friendship foundation. Usually when relationships start out, it doesn't start out as friends and you have to create that foundation from scratch, but you already have it. Maybe you can present that to him, that your strong friendship foundation can take it, right? And that it's going to be okay. This probably won't work. This probably will not work, but the pain and confusion could be worth it if it does work out. I do see that there's a lot of good in this relationship. And again, in another answer earlier in this podcast, I'm going to say the same thing. Can you be in a more casual relationship? Can you take a few steps back? Maybe a poly or open relationship, but even before that, can you date other people and also date him? It's hard to go from like 6 weeks totally on honeymoony experiences to go from like, all right, let's take a few steps back, actually. It seems like he needs some time to evolve and figure out what he wants. And while you're doing that, can you just hang out casually? I feel like, again, I don't think that you should do any of these things. But I wanted to just sort of like put it out there in a way where like, if you can do those things, then go ahead and try. And maybe you can try for a week, or maybe you can try for a few months. And I want you to figure out like, I don't want you to abandon yourself. I don't want you to do self-abandonment. So if you feel like you're doing something where you're resenting him, where like there's this contempt and this anger that's building up, and you're not able to talk about your stuff because he's going through so much of his own stuff, and you've really abandoned yourself and you're not being congruent or authentic with how you're feeling, those are huge red flags. You should not be trying to figure this out. But if you can have fun, if you can have playful, if you can be casual, if you can like be there as a friend, lean into that friend foundation and just like be in it for the long game and have like lower expectations, then maybe this can work. Or maybe it won't, but maybe it can. Okay, if you enjoyed this episode and you want me to do more episodes like this where I give you the honest truth and then I'm like, but you're not going to do it, so let's try to figure this out together, let me know. Leave me a 5-star review. I love those 5-star reviews. Go buy my book, Big Dating Energy. So happy you're here. I will talk to you next week.